Ancestors. Heritage of African Kingdoms. Introduction. The heartbeat of Africa. Long before the sails of European explorers dotted the African coastline, this vast continent was home to some of the world's most advanced and resilient civilizations. The lands and societies of Africa thrived on their own terms, woven together by a tapestry of cultures, kingdoms, and clans that flourished independently, guided by values that spoke to a deep connection to the land, to each other, and to the spiritual. In this book, we will explore these ancient legacies, meet the ancestors who laid the foundations for African kingdoms, and unveil the rich heritage of African societies. Our journey begins with the land itself, for Africa's diverse landscapes were not merely settings but key characters in its history. From the arid deserts of the Sahara to the lush rainforests of the Congo Basin, from the towering peaks of the Ethiopian highlands to the vast savannas of the Serengeti, Africa's environments helped shape the cultures that developed in their midst. Each region fostered unique traditions, languages, and lifestyles, yet they were connected by shared beliefs, trade, and a vibrant respect for the earth. This land held immense resources: gold, salt, fertile soil, and a wealth of biodiversity that sustained and inspired the people who lived there. The wisdom of ancestors and oral traditions. In African societies, history was more than a series of events. It was a living story, preserved not only in written records, but in the oral traditions passed down from one generation to the next. Griots, the legendary storytellers of West Africa, would sit by fires at dusk, weaving tales of heroes and queens, battles and alliances. In their words, history wasn't recited, it was revived. With each telling, these griots brought the past to life, offering insights and moral lessons through stories that held entire lineages, kingdoms, and cultural values. These storytellers, seen as historians and advisors, held a place of reverence in their communities. Through them, history wasn't just remembered, it was embodied. Their stories contained the wisdom of ancestors and the rhythms of daily life, showing that the past was not a distant thing, but an active presence guiding decisions, influencing traditions, and protecting future generations. In African societies, ancestors held communities together, fostering unity that extended beyond the individual. This sense of connectedness, often captured by the concept of Ubuntu, meaning "I am because we are," embodied a profound respect for others and reinforced the idea that the self is reflected in the community. Kingdoms of Wealth and Wisdom. Africa was home to kingdoms and empires whose wealth, wisdom, and influence rivaled any other part of the world. The Empire of Mali, led by the famed Mansa Musa, stood as a testament to Africa's grandeur. Known as one of the wealthiest individuals in history, Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca not only left a lasting impression across the Mediterranean, but also celebrated Mali's intellectual and spiritual depth. Timbuktu, the heart of his empire, became a legendary center of learning, attracting scholars from distant lands to study philosophy, science, and the arts. To the east, the Kingdom of Aksum rose as a powerful force, strategically controlling trade routes between Africa, Asia, and the Mediterranean. Aksum's people developed advanced systems of agriculture, erected towering obelisks, and minted their own coins, markers of a thriving economy and a sophisticated society. In the Ethiopian highlands, Christianity took root early, blending with local traditions to shape a unique religious identity that endures today. In southern Africa, the city-state of Great Zimbabwe emerged as a marvel of engineering and architecture, its stone structures a testament to ingenuity and strength. Built without mortar, Great Zimbabwe's walls and towers still stand today, a symbol of African skill and vision. This city was more than a fortress. It was a thriving hub of trade and craftsmanship, where gold and ivory exchanged hands with traders from as far away as China and Persia. The interwoven threads of trade, belief, and innovation trade, spirituality, and innovation were the lifeblood of African societies. Vast networks of exchange connected the continent, linking the Sahara to the Mediterranean, the Indian Ocean to the Nile, and the far reaches of the Sahel. Gold, salt, ivory, and precious stones flowed along these routes, as did ideas, customs, and spiritual beliefs. It was along these paths that knowledge of the stars, medicinal herbs, and agricultural techniques was shared, enriching each society in turn. Spirituality was central to African life, a compass that guided understanding of both the visible and invisible worlds. While beliefs varied from region to region, a reverence for nature, ancestors, and unseen forces was widely shared. African cosmologies often blurred the line between material and spiritual realms, where ancestors walked beside the living and divinity resided in rivers, mountains, and skies. This deep connection to the spiritual infused life with purpose, making ceremonies, dances, and rituals an essential part of daily existence. The richness of African civilization was not in gold or ivory alone. It was in the wisdom that came from a profound understanding of life, death, and the cycles that governed them. Knowledge was seen as a legacy to be shared, and every discovery, from the medicinal use of plants to the alignment of temples with the stars, was a gift for the community. African civilizations thrived in some of the harshest environments on Earth, yet they preserved their identity, values, and resilience. A legacy unveiled. As we explore the vast realms of Africa, we encounter resilience, creativity, and wisdom. This book seeks to honor and unveil the true heritage of African kingdoms and cultures, illuminating stories of ingenuity, unity, and strength. Africa's history is a journey into a world where the past is always present, where ancestors' voices echo through the landscapes and shape the heart of Africa itself. Through these pages, may we not only learn of Africa's past, but find inspiration for the future. The lessons of resilience, community, and respect for the land remain as vital today as they were in the time of the ancestors. This is the heart of Africa, a place where time flows in circles, where the present and past embrace, and where the enduring legacies of the ancient world continue to inform, inspire, and enrich humanity. Part 1. The Cradle of Humanity. Chapter 1. Origins of Humankind. In the warm cradle of the African continent, where the Earth's red sands meet the sky and ancient rivers snake through valleys, humankind took its first steps. Long before the rise of empires, before civilizations began to shape their stories in stone and ink, early humans roamed these lands. This was not only the birthplace of our species, but the land where humanity's journey began. A journey that would lay the foundations for the first societies, the first expressions of art, and the earliest sparks of spirituality. Imagine standing on the edge of the Great Rift Valley, a place alive with life's diversity, where fertile grasslands stretch beneath towering peaks and rivers flow like veins through the landscape. Here, thousands of years ago, small groups of hunter-gatherers navigated a world that was both familiar and mysterious. They moved with the seasons, following the herds and learning the secrets of the plants and animals around them. In these early societies, survival depended on knowledge of the land, a deep, intimate understanding that shaped their lives, beliefs, and community bonds. The dawn of language and storytelling. As these early groups grew, so did their need for communication. It was here, amidst the valleys and rivers of Africa, that language first blossomed. At first, it was a tool for survival, a means to warn of predators or to signal the presence of food. But over generations, language evolved into something more. It became a way to connect, to share thoughts, and to express emotions. Through words, early humans could pass down knowledge, preserve memories, and forge stronger ties with one another. Around evening fires, language took on a new form, storytelling. Elders shared tales of past hunts, great migrations, and encounters with the unknown. These early stories became vessels of knowledge, embedding practical wisdom about the land and fostering a shared identity among the group. In the flickering glow of firelight, the world became more than just survival. It was a place rich with meaning, alive with memories of ancestors and the mysteries of existence. These narratives were more than mere tales. They were lifelines, anchoring each generation to those that came before. Through them, early humans began to see themselves as part of a greater whole, where each life was a thread woven into the fabric of the community. And as words flowed, so did understanding. A sense that the land, the stars, and all of life were interconnected in ways they were just beginning to explore. The art of early expression beyond words, early humans turned to art to express what language could not. Deep within caves, ancient artists used red ochre, charcoal, and other natural pigments to paint scenes of animals, hunters, and geometric symbols on stone walls. These images, found in places like Namibia's Apollo 11 cave and Tanzania's Kondoa rock art site, are more than mere depictions. They are windows into the minds and hearts of our ancestors. Imagine an artist, crouched in the dim light, dipping a hand into a mixture of earth and water, then pressing it against the rock. Each brushstroke and handprint represented a connection to the world around them, a way to capture the essence of life in visual form. Art became a medium through which they could preserve moments, honor the animals that sustained them, and communicate with the unseen forces they believed governed their world. For these early humans, art was sacred. It was a language of symbols and shapes, expressing the reverence they held for life and the land. To paint an animal was to honor its spirit, to acknowledge its role in the delicate balance of existence. These creations, simple yet profound, reflect a people who saw themselves as part of a vast tapestry, one where each life, human or animal, was woven into a story that transcended time. Spiritual beginnings, the divine in nature. As language and art flourished, so did a sense of spirituality, a feeling that life was part of something greater, something unseen yet deeply felt. Early African societies viewed the world with reverence, seeing divinity in the sun's warmth, the river's flow, and the mountain's silence. Their gods and spirits did not reside in distant realms but were interwoven with the natural world, inhabiting rivers, trees, and animals. Nature itself became a guide, a presence that offered both sustenance and mystery. This spirituality was not confined to rituals or places of worship. It was woven into the fabric of daily life, from the rhythms of planting and harvesting to the respect shown to animals and plants. Each sunrise was a blessing, each harvest a time of gratitude. Early humans learned to live in harmony with nature, seeing themselves as caretakers of the land, entrusted with its wisdom and beauty. Elders, considered custodians of this wisdom, played a special role as mediators between the seen and unseen worlds. They were healers, storytellers, and guides, passing down knowledge of the cycles of life, from planting to harvest, birth to death. To these early Africans, ancestors were not gone. They were ever present, guiding and protecting their descendants from the spiritual realm. Reflections on humanity's first societies. These first societies, grounded in language, art, and spirituality, laid the foundation for Africa's rich cultural tapestry. Their innovations in communication, their reverence for nature, and their deep sense of community created a legacy that resonates in African cultures to this day. These ancestors remind us of humanity's shared roots, of a time when survival was communal and life's mysteries were met with wonder, respect, and creativity. Today, as we gaze upon the ancient rock art, hear the echo of ancestral stories, and stand in the shadow of Africa's great landscapes, we are reminded of our origins. These early humans were not only survivors, they were dreamers, creators, and seekers of meaning. They left us with more than relics. They left us with values, respect for the land, a sense of unity, and a profound understanding of life's sacredness. As we delve deeper into the stories of Africa, we honor this shared human heritage. This journey through the origins of humankind invites us to remember, to respect, and to reconnect with the essence of who we are and where we come from. These echoes from our ancestors remind us that history is not merely in the past, it is alive within us, guiding us forward as we seek to understand the world and our place within it. Chapter 2. Early artistic expression in the quiet embrace of Africa's caves and sunlit plains. Humanity's earliest artists left their mark, a testament to the human spirit's longing to create, remember, and connect. For the people of early African societies, art was more than a craft. It was a language that wove together daily life, spirituality, and nature's mysteries. From intricate carvings to vibrant cave paintings, African art became a bridge across time, a medium through which ancestors and descendants could converse. This chapter explores the origins of African artistic expression, examining its significance in forming the foundation of culture, belief, and memory. A journey into the ancient caves. Imagine an artist, tens of thousands of years ago, stepping into the cool darkness of a cave. The air is thick with the scent of wet stone and earth, and a faint glow from a torch reveals rough walls soon to be transformed. With a mixture of ochre, charcoal, and clay, they begin to paint, capturing images of animals, humans, and geometric patterns on the rock face. These images, preserved today in places like the Drakensberg Mountains of South Africa and the caves of Tassili Najer in the Sahara, offer a glimpse into the thoughts and beliefs of early Africans. Here, art was not only about representation, but about invoking the power and spirit of the world around them. In these caves, the figures of antelopes, elephants, and hunters come alive. They are not simply depictions of creatures. They are symbols, representations of the harmony between humans and nature. Each animal carries meaning: the strength of a buffalo, the grace of an antelope, the wisdom of an owl. The artists understood these animals deeply, capturing their movement and essence with lines and shapes that evoke life. These early paintings were spiritual acts, reflections of a worldview where every creature, every rock, every tree held significance. The power of symbols and patterns. Beyond figures of animals and humans, ancient African artists used symbols and patterns to communicate ideas that went beyond language. Swirling lines, zigzags, and concentric circles appear in art across regions and eras, each shape echoing a universal human experience. These patterns, believed to represent water, the sun, and other natural elements, were more than decoration. They were a part of life's rhythm, expressions of cycles and forces that governed existence. The rock art of the Sand people in southern Africa, for instance, often depicts trance-like dances and spirals that represent the spiritual journeys of shamans. These motifs, found in regions across Africa, reflect a belief that the material and spiritual worlds were interconnected. Through these symbols, early African societies conveyed their understanding of life's mysteries and the unseen forces that shaped their world. In this way, art became an extension of the spiritual self, a means to channel, honor, and understand the divine presence in nature. Daily life in clay and stone as societies grew. The artistry of early Africans expanded beyond caves and into everyday objects. Pottery, tools, and ornaments became canvases for creative expression, adorned with patterns that held both aesthetic and practical significance. In regions like the Nile Valley and the Niger Delta, pottery dating back thousands of years reveals a sophistication in design and function. Pots used for cooking, storing grain, or carrying water were decorated with intricate motifs that spoke of the potter's skill and the community's cultural values. Each vessel held stories of family gatherings around a fire, of harvests brought in from the fields, of celebrations and rituals. These everyday objects, shaped by hands connected to the earth, were infused with cultural meaning. Some pottery from the Nok culture in present-day Nigeria, dating back to 1000 BCE, is among Africa's earliest examples of terracotta sculpture, displaying human faces with expressions of contemplation and reverence. These faces, thought to be ancestors or spiritual figures, watch silently over time, their expressions capturing the enduring bond between the living and those who came before. The artists of the Nile Valley. In the Nile Valley, artistic expression flourished with the rise of organized societies in Kemet, ancient Egypt, and Nubia. Artisans carved elaborate hieroglyphics into stone, capturing scenes of daily life, religious rituals, and monumental events on temple walls and obelisks. Egyptian and Nubian art reflects a profound understanding of proportion, harmony, and the human form. Gods and goddesses, pharaohs, and queens are rendered with a reverent attention to detail, embodying ideals of divinity, power, and wisdom. The Nile artisans used their art to convey complex religious and philosophical concepts. A simple anklet or necklace could symbolize eternal life, while a statue might embody a king's connection to the gods. Color, too, held meaning. Blue represented the Nile's life-giving waters, green symbolized fertility and rebirth, and gold was the flesh of the gods. These elements combined to create a visual language that resonated with both the common people and the elites, reinforcing shared beliefs and values. Spirituality and art, as one African art, has always been deeply spiritual. In many cultures, masks, statues, and ritual objects are crafted with the belief that they house spirits or ancestors, connecting the physical and spiritual realms. In West Africa, the Dogon people create masks that embody the spirits of deceased ancestors, used in ceremonies that celebrate life's cycles: birth, harvest, death, and rebirth. These masks, carved from wood and adorned with feathers, beads, and paint, are not just artistic expressions, but sacred objects that transform dancers into vessels for the ancestors. Similarly, the Yoruba people of Nigeria carve elaborate wooden sculptures that honor gods, kings, and ancestors. Each piece, whether a mask, a statue, or a ceremonial drum, is a tribute to a spiritual force. The carvings capture human figures with elongated limbs, detailed facial features, and stylized forms, each feature bearing symbolic significance. Through these objects, art becomes a way of preserving knowledge, honoring tradition, and maintaining harmony with the spiritual world. Reflections on Africa's artistic heritage. The art of early African societies speaks of a people attuned to their environment, respectful of the forces that shaped their lives, and deeply connected to one another and their ancestors. These artists did not create in isolation. Their work was part of a communal experience, a means of preserving collective memory and wisdom. Their carvings, paintings, and sculptures tell us of a world where the material and spiritual coexisted, each object infused with meaning and purpose. Today, African art continues to inspire, its symbols and forms echoing across time. Modern African artists, like those of the ancient past, draw from the same wellspring of creativity, grounding their work in traditions that honor community, spirituality, and resilience. By exploring the artistic expressions of early African societies, we are reminded of the continent's profound contributions to human culture and creativity. As we trace the lines of a cave painting or run our fingers along the patterns of an ancient pot, we reconnect with a time when art was not just about beauty, but about belonging to the earth, to the ancestors, and to the mysteries that lie beyond. Chapter 3. Stone and Iron Ages. Forging the Foundations of Civilization. In the dawning chapters of human history, Africa was a forge of innovation, where ancient societies transitioned from rudimentary stone tools to the powerful technologies of iron. The path from stone to iron spanned thousands of years, but this journey transformed societies, laying the foundations for agriculture, trade, and complex cultures across the continent. In this chapter, we delve into Africa's technological evolution, from the first sharpened stones to the blast furnaces of the Iron Age, revealing a legacy of creativity and resilience that shaped the world. The Stone Age, mastering the elements. Imagine an early human standing at the edge of a riverbed, selecting stones for tools. With careful strikes, they chip away at the rock, creating a sharp edge to skin animals, slice plants, or dig roots. In these simple tools, we see the beginnings of human ingenuity. These early stone tools, dating back over 2 million years, were first discovered in East Africa's Great Rift Valley, marking the continent as the birthplace of humanity's technological journey. As millennia passed, toolmaking became more sophisticated. Early Africans learned to refine their craftsmanship, developing tools with specialized shapes and edges. By the time of the Middle Stone Age, communities were crafting arrowheads, scrapers, and hand axes, each designed for specific tasks. Sites like the Blombos Cave in South Africa reveal remarkable artifacts from this period, including finely carved stones and even pigments used for decoration or ritual, suggesting that early Africans were not only survivalists, but artists and thinkers. Tools and technology were only one part of the story. As communities adapted to their environments, they learned to use fire for warmth, protection, and cooking, turning natural elements into allies. With fire came new possibilities. Cooked food provided more nutrients, tools became more durable, and communities could thrive in colder climates. Fire was both a practical tool and a symbol, a force that humans could wield, signifying humanity's growing mastery over nature. The transition from stone to metal. As societies grew, so did the need for stronger, more versatile tools. The transition from stone to metal was not abrupt but evolved over centuries as humans began to experiment with softer metals like copper and bronze. These early metals, however, were rare and precious, used sparingly and often reserved for ceremonial or decorative items. Archaeological evidence suggests that the use of copper emerged in North Africa and the Nile Valley as early as 4000 BCE, where it played a role in both everyday and spiritual life. In time, societies across Africa discovered a metal that would reshape their world: iron. Unlike copper, iron was abundant and could be forged into tools and weapons far stronger than stone. This metal sparked a revolution, enabling African societies to cultivate land more efficiently, defend their territories, and establish the vast trade networks that would later connect empires. The era of iron was not just a technological leap, it was a transformation that influenced every aspect of life. The Iron Age, a new era of innovation in regions like Nok in present-day Nigeria. The Iron Age blossomed as early as 1000 BCE, with skilled artisans creating tools, sculptures, and weapons. The Nok people, known for their terracotta art, were pioneers in iron smelting. They developed techniques to extract iron from ore, mastering the high temperatures needed to melt and mold metal. This innovation gave rise to the first iron tools in West Africa, revolutionizing agriculture, hunting, and warfare. Farmers could clear fields and cultivate larger tracts of land, while hunters and warriors gained more effective weapons, strengthening community defenses. The Nok culture is renowned for its sophisticated terracotta statues, which often depict human figures with expressive faces and elaborate hairstyles. These sculptures, some over a meter tall, provide insight into the society's artistic and spiritual life. Beyond practical tools, iron and clay were mediums for cultural expression, showcasing the interconnectedness of utility and artistry in early African societies. These works were not just artistic, they held spiritual significance, often serving as representations of ancestors, deities, or revered leaders. Ironworking spread southward and eastward, with societies in the Great Lakes region, the Sahel, and southern Africa developing their own techniques and traditions. In regions like Meroe, the ancient capital of the Kingdom of Kush, large-scale iron production flourished. Meroe became a center of iron smelting, its forges and furnaces producing iron that would travel along trade routes to Egypt, the Mediterranean, and beyond. The blacksmiths of Meroe were revered, their craft seen as almost mystical. The ability to transform earth into metal was considered a powerful gift, connecting them to the divine forces that governed life and death. Cultural impact and social transformation. The Iron Age was not only about tools, it reshaped African society at its core. As iron technology spread, so did the power and influence of the societies that wielded it. In places like Great Zimbabwe and the Benin Kingdom, ironworking allowed for the construction of complex settlements, with stone structures, trade centers, and defensive walls. Iron tools enabled communities to harness resources more effectively, leading to surplus food production and the rise of specialized trades, from pottery and weaving to blacksmithing and trade. Iron also transformed social dynamics. Blacksmiths and metal workers held a unique place in society, often seen as both artisans and spiritual figures. In many African cultures, iron workers were believed to possess special knowledge, bridging the material and supernatural worlds. The ability to create tools, weapons, and sacred objects elevated their status, with some blacksmithing families becoming hereditary classes, their skills passed down through generations. Ironworking was more than a craft. It was a source of social cohesion, linking communities through shared knowledge, trade, and cultural exchange. The iron trade itself became a cornerstone of African economies, connecting regions across vast distances. Iron tools and weapons traveled along ancient trade routes, exchanged for gold, salt, ivory, and other valuable goods. These trade networks laid the groundwork for powerful empires like Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, whose wealth and influence would later shape the history of West Africa. Iron was both a practical and symbolic currency, a measure of a community's strength, productivity, and resilience. Reflections. The legacy of early African technology. The evolution from stone to iron marks one of the most significant periods in African history, a time of resilience, adaptability, and ingenuity. Through their mastery of materials, early African societies laid the groundwork for cultural and economic systems that would endure for centuries. Today, as we look back on these innovations, we recognize not only the technological achievements, but also the deep cultural significance of these advancements. The Iron Age in Africa tells a story of human creativity and adaptability, of communities that thrived by understanding their environment and harnessing its resources. The legacy of these early African technologists lives on in the artifacts they left behind, in the iron forges and stone carvings that tell of a people attuned to the forces of both nature and spirit. The journey from stone to iron is not just a story of tools and technology, it is a testament to humanity's relentless pursuit of progress, a narrative that continues to inspire and connect us to the very roots of civilization. As we honor Africa's early innovators, we celebrate a heritage that forged not only tools, but the cultural foundations of resilience, community, and shared wisdom. The history of Africa's stone and iron ages is a story that belongs to all of humanity, a reminder that our ancestors, with fire in their hands and dreams in their hearts, paved the way for the world we inhabit today.